So, what if I told you that a single, sincere thought could literally erase a lifetime of wrongdoing? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating Buddhist teaching that explores just that, this profound idea of a last-minute redemption, even for the most, let's say, corrupted souls.
I mean, it's a huge question, right? It's something people have wondered about for centuries. Can one final act of sincerity, one single moment, truly wash away a whole history of misdeeds? The text we're looking at today doesn't just think about it. It gives a surprisingly dramatic and detailed answer.
And this isn't just about any old second chance. We're talking about a very specific path to salvation for people who have, spiritually speaking, hit absolute rock bottom. The text lays out this concept built on ultimate compassion, offering a gateway to a paradise called the Pure Land for those who really seem to have lost all hope.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it down. We'll explore this through 3 totally distinct case studies, and you'll see each one is more severe than the last. And then we'll look at what their final journey in the Pure Land actually looks like. All right, so let's start with our first case study. The text calls this the lower high rebirth. Now, this is for someone who has lived a life of wrongdoing, but, and this is a big but, with one crucial and frankly pretty surprising exception. Just imagine this, a life filled to the brim with evil deeds, lived without a shred of remorse. But here's the catch. This person never, ever openly defamed or slandered the sacred Mahāyāna texts they'd come across. And that one little thing, that tiny sliver of unspoken respect, well, it changes everything. So, as they're lying on their deathbed, a guide appears. And this is where the magic happens. First, the guide simply praises the sacred scriptures out loud. And just by hearing these words, a huge chunk of this person's negative karma is just wiped clean. Then comes the final instruction. Chant the Buddha's name. And the result of that one act, it's absolutely breathtaking. By chanting Namo Amitābha Buddha, they erase 50 billion kalpas of accumulated sin. Now, a kalpa is an unimaginably long period of time. We're talking cosmic scales here. So the impact of this simple final act is just, wow. And with that, their final moments aren't filled with fear or pain, but with this miraculous light. They're gently welcomed into the Pure Land, and they begin their next journey nestled inside a beautiful jeweled lotus flower. Okay, now let's level up to a more severe case, the lower middle rebirth. This is for someone who not only did wrong, but also betrayed a sacred trust. You see, this person's sins cut way deeper. They didn't just break general moral codes, they violated their own sacred vows, they stole from their own spiritual community, and they deceived others without a hint of remorse. The text is very clear, their destination is hell. And the consequences are happening right now. As they lie dying, the fires of hell literally begin to appear right in front of them. But in that moment of absolute terror, a teacher arrives. And they don't ask the person to do anything, but simply to listen, as they preach about the immense power and compassion of Amitābha Buddha. And here's the really incredible part. Just hearing about the Buddha's boundless compassion is enough to erase an even bigger karmic debt. 80 billion kalpas of sin completely gone in a single instant of sincere listening. This is a complete reality shift. I mean, the very fires of damnation that were about to consume them, they transform into a cool, gentle breeze. And this celestial wind carries these heavenly flowers, and on each and every flower is a Buddha, ready to welcome them home. And now we arrive at the most extreme case. The text calls this the lower low rebirth. This is for the person who seems utterly, completely beyond saving, the worst of the worst. This person has committed the most heinous acts you can imagine. The 5 grieve offenses, which include things like killing your own parent, and also the 10 evils. They are, by all accounts, irredeemable and basically destined for an eternity of suffering. But even for them, there's a path. On their deathbed, they are in so much physical and mental pain they can't even think straight, let alone contemplate the Buddha's virtues. The teacher sees this and simplifies the instruction down to its absolute core. Just say the name. And with whatever sincere heart they have left, they manage to repeat it 10 times. And this is just staggering. With each of those 10 repetitions, They erase 80 billion kalpas of sin. So this isn't a one-time thing. It's a compounding miracle with every single utterance, with every single breath. In their final moment, this immense act of faith is met with an equally powerful vision. A golden lotus, as radiant as the sun itself, appears and, in a flash, whisks them away to the safety and the serenity of the Pure Land.
So, they've all made it. They've all escaped an eternity of suffering and arrived in the Pure Land. But the journey isn't over, not by a long shot. For each of them, the next stage of their journey unfolds inside that very lotus that brought them there, and believe me, it's a very different experience for each one. This table gives us a really clear overview of the pattern we've been seeing, and you might notice this fascinating inverse relationship. The more severe the sin, the simpler and more direct the required act of salvation becomes. I mean, that's a really powerful statement on accessibility and compassion, isn't it? But while they're safe from hell, their past actions do still have consequences. This chart shows the waiting period before their lotus flower finally opens, and it's a direct reflection of their karmic debt. It ranges from 49 days for the first sinner to an absolutely astonishing 12 great kalpas for the worst offender. And just so we can really try to wrap our heads around the scale of that waiting period, let's look at this term kalpa again. It's a unit of time so vast it's almost impossible to comprehend. The classic analogy is the time it would take to wear away a massive mountain just by gently brushing it with a piece of silk, once every 100 years. So this period of waiting, it isn't punishment, but more of a purification, really emphasizing the gravity of their past lives. Ultimately, the text kind of boils down its core lesson into this one powerful idea. It says that by simply hearing the names of the three jewels, that is, the Buddha himself, the Dharma or his teachings, and the Sangha, the spiritual community, one can fundamentally change their destiny. It just highlights the incredible power of sincere connection and faith. So, what this teaching really leaves us with is this profound statement on limitless compassion and ultimate hope. It challenges us to think about the immense, reality-altering power that might just be waiting for us in a single, focused moment of sincerity, right at death's door.